Hello, honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin, let me define some important terms. Corruption is the act of abusing power or position for personal gain, such as stealing state money, accepting bribes, or inflating project budgets. This is defined in Indonesian Law Number 31 of 1999 concerning the eradication of criminal acts of corruption. Stricter punishments means making the consequences for corruption more severe. This includes longer prison sentences, higher fines, mandatory seizure of stolen assets, and a lifetime ban from holding public office. I strongly support the motion. This House will impose stricter punishments for corruption. The current punishments are not working. Corruptors are not afraid of the law. They steal enormous amounts of money but receive very light sentences. Some even return to government positions after serving their time. This must change. We need harsher penalties to protect our nation's future. Why do we need stricter punishments? Let me present the facts. Under the current law, specifically Law Number 31, 1999, as amended by Law Number 20 of 2001, the maximum prison sentence for corruption is 20 years and the maximum fine is 1 billion rupiah. In certain circumstances, a life sentence or even the death penalty may be imposed. However, a report from the Indonesia Corruption Watch found that the average prison sentence for corruption in 2024 was only 3 years and 3 months, with an average fine of just 180 million rupiah. Meanwhile, the total state loss for corruption in 2024 was an astronomical 330.9 trillion rupiah, approximately 331 trillion rupiah, with only 4.84% of it recovered. This means that for every 100 rupiah stolen, we get back less than 5 rupiah. This situation sends a dangerous message that corruption has a very low price. It is more profitable to steal and risk a few years in prison than to remain honest. Furthermore, the new criminal code that came into effect in 2026 has actually reduced the minimum sentence for corruption from 4 years to just 2 years. This is a significant step backward. Let me explain how stricter punishments would work in practice. Let's imagine a corrupt official who steals 100 billion rupiah from a public infrastructure project, such as school or a hospital. Under the current system, he receives a sentence of 4 to 5 years in prison. He often gets early release for good behavior after serving only 2 or 3 years. He pays a fine of 1 billion rupiah, which is tiny compared to his 100 billion rupiah theft. His family keeps most of the stolen money, often hidden in secret accounts or assets. After his release, he can even run for public office again or work as a government advisor. Under our stricter punishment plan, he receives a minimum sentence of 15 years with no early release. He pays a fine of 3 times the amount he stole, which is 300 billion rupiah. All his assets and those of his family are confiscated by the state through mandatory asset forfeiture. He is permanently banned from holding any public office or working in government. If his corruption led to death, for example, using substandard materials in a hospital, he would face life imprisonment. This multi-layered approach ensures that corruption is simply not worth the risk. This policy will have several major benefits. First, deterrence. When potential corruptors know they will face long prison sentences, massive fines, and the loss of everything they own, they will think twice before stealing. Second, asset recovery. By implementing mandatory asset forfeiture, the state can seize billions of rupiah in stolen assets. This money can then be used to build schools, purchase medicine, and improve public services. Third, public trust. Right now, many Indonesian citizens feel that the law is soft on the rich and powerful. By imposing stricter punishments, we show that no one is above the law. Fourth, protection of future generations. A corrupt official who is banned for life from government service cannot return to steal again. This ensures a cleaner and more effective government for our children. While some may argue that stricter punishments violate human rights or that they do not address the root causes of corruption. Corruption itself is a human rights violation. When officials steal money and the money meant for healthcare, children die from preventable diseases. When they take funds from education, they are stealing the future of millions of students. Stricter punishments are not cruel. They are a fair and proportionate response to an extraordinarily harmful crime. While prevention, education are important, they take decades to produce results. We are in a crisis right now. The data from ICW and KPK shows that corruption is rampant and increasing. We need immediate action. Stricter punishments provide an immediate deterrence effect. Prevention and punishments must work together, but punishment is the more urgent tool. We can look to other countries for evidence that they having strict punishment for corrupt. For the example, China imposes the death penalty for corruption involving amounts over a certain threshold. Singapore imposes life imprisonment for corrupt officials. These countries have some of the lowest corruption rates in Asia. This demonstrates that stricter punishments can be effective. To implement this policy effectively, the government must take the following concrete steps. First, revise the anti-corruption law, increasing the minimum prison sentence for corruption to at least 10 years for amounts exceeding 10 billion rupiah. Second, pass the asset forfeiture bill. Third, implement a lifetime ban from public office. In conclusion, corruption is not a small crime. It steals from the poor, kills dreams, and destroys our nation's future. Our current punishments are clearly failing, as shown by the average sentence of just 3 years and the recovery of less than 5% of stolen assets. For these reasons, I proudly support the motion. This House will impose stricter punishments for corruption. Thank you.